Black people, never forget this face. This is Nkosinathi Nkomo, the UCT student who invented the water saving system and mysteriously fell from a high building and died in Cape Town. Today, a white-owned company has invented the same system, and the DA is celebrating that person. How ironic my tweet coincides with Helen Zille's. I have always maintained that the DA was involved. Former DA leader Tony Leon is being paid 658,000 Rand for providing Cape Town with strategic advice to improve the city's drought crisis. In other unrelated news, Nkosinathi Nkomo, a student who created the solution to Cape Town water crisis, mysteriously fell to his death from the 5th floor of a building. Nkosinathi Nkomo, who was the creator of Aqua Renew. Months after his death, mysteriously, a similar company emerged called Waterloo. When it's literally the same idea but different skin color. #Nkosinathi Nkomo. The continuation of a long chain of black inventors being mysteriously unalived, and then those ideas emerge, fully funded and fully supported by the milk establishment. Now, I'm not telling you who to choose, but I am suggesting that you keep in mind that you're not just voting for yourself, you're voting for your people. Because this happens far too often. This is just not right. It's time to protect our own. We as the people need to stop this from happening again and bond together as one. Spread the word and make this worldwide news. #Nkosinathi Nkomo. Nkosinathi Nkomo, a UCT student, comes up with a brilliant water purification invention he names Aqua Renew. It is aimed to assist households in the drought-ravaged city of Cape Town. He suddenly dies under mysterious circumstances. 3 months later, Retief Krige comes up with the same creation and calls it Waterloo. Waterloo was launched today. A long chain of black inventors.
2 years ago, I covered the story of the Zimbabwean inventor Maxwell Chikumbutso, whose life was immediately in danger after he invented the technology of self-powering a television using radio frequency.
There's no cable.
It's been a pleasure working with you as always.
One of Zimbabwe's most celebrated technopreneurs, Maxwell Chikumbutso, has once again come up with a masterstroke innovation, and this time it is an embedded wireless power generator that uses radio frequency to power a television set. Chikumbutso demonstrated his latest innovation to a ZBC News crew at his base in Harare, whereby a TV does not need the electricity connection for it to function.
This is our self-powered TV that we have designed, the first in the world to have such kind of a technology where a television is powered with a radio frequency. So as you can see right now, I'm powering this television. So this is the first television in the world that uses self-power to say. It is all in one. You don't need to put it on electricity or on solar panel or anything. As it is a complete solution. Behind the television, you can see that there is a microsonic energy device, this box. This is the device that is converting radio frequencies into pure energy. As you can see, the power of the cable was supposed to be here. On all traditional televisions, power comes here, but there's no power, as you can see.
He even got poisoned, but luckily he survived, and I believe he's still inventing and on his journey to achieve even more bigger and greater things. But back to brother Nkosinathi. For those of us who are just hearing about him for the first time, I thought I should talk about him more, share his story, at least what I could find online. He was born in Soweto and was a 25-year-old student of the University of Cape Town who began to gain national attention in October 2017 for his invention of a water purification system called Aqua Renew to solve Cape Town's water crisis. Nkosinathi could not afford to finish his civil engineering degree at UCT, so he decided to launch Aqua Reno, and it was starting to generate revenue and pay for all of his college fees. With such heavy promise and many eyes on him, South Africans were left bewildered when in December he turned up dead. The simple, if apparent explanation was that he had fallen from a multi-story building in Cape Town. Who killed Nkosinathi? Many pointed to self-exit as the cause, but Nkosinathi's father claimed that his son could never self-exit because he had no debts and no enemies. In pain, he said that the truth would come out one day. Conspiracy theories have had a field day with many interpretations of the events leading up to his passing. However, things took an unexpected turn when a tweet was posted congratulating a white inventor for an idea very similar to Nkosinathi's. In the tweet, Helen Zille congratulated Retief Krige, an industrial designer who created water-loo, a quick and easy way of using shower water to flush your loo. Nkosinathi's name has begun to trend after South Africans drew connections between Nkosinathi's death, the gravity of Cape Town's water problem, and the emergence of this new inventor. A life-ending idea? As intimidating as it may seem to think what is being suggested is true, it would not be entirely absurd. Many times, ideas have been stolen and their owners discarded so the value can pass to another. Cape Town's water crisis has made international news in recent weeks. The province is counting down to day zero. Despite careful rationing, the city's water supply is fast running dry. It is why Nkosinathi's invention held many prospects and incited such support. As it stands now, South Africa owes it to a young man, his family and supporters to find an answer to why he passed and what may have transpired regarding his invention. The death of this promising, young, talented, inventive brother would never stop to echo. Looking at historical patterns here, how them folks behave and how they relate with us and our ish. I mean, we all know the sayings, the tiger cannot change its stripes or the leopard cannot change its spots. I really want to say more, but for legal reasons, I can't say what I really want to say right now. We all are aware of the historical patterns I mentioned earlier, so at the end of the day, I guess what is understood doesn't need to be said. There are three key things that I have noticed that historically happens to an African Black inventor and their inventions. One, them folks steal it and then put their face on it. And this is something that has been happening since during colonization and slavery era. During this period, a lot of African American, just Black people in general, our ideas, inventions, and concepts got stolen. During this period, they also tried to appropriate, co-opt, credit themselves for a lot of our creations. A good example is what they did with Egypt and the pyramids. Another very good example would be what Leo Frobenius did with his African Atlantis theory. This man was bugging on a literal astronomical level. The things he said, the claims he made, like insane. I already made a video on him and his theory, which has been debunked by the way, but if you're curious to know what he said, the video I made is linked down below in the description. The second thing that I have noticed when an African Black person invents something is that suddenly their lives would be in danger. Them folks immediately start coming after your life, I believe, for two reasons. One, because an African Black person inventing something is a threat to the narrative of African Black people are not smart and cannot develop or create anything good. They want the story to continuously be that they are the only ones who can or are doing ish, even though the majority of the ish that they take glory for and their faces are plastered over are ish that they stole. And the second reason why they unalive African Black inventors is because of their greed. So not only do they want to steal these inventions and have their face on it to continue to perpetuate the narrative of they are the only ones who do it, they also do it because of money. They do it because of their pockets. It's either one, they fear this new invention is going to take money out of their pockets if they let this invention becomes public and make it into the market. Like say, for example, if someone were to invent a kind of technology where cars can now be powered by some kind of energy that is free and can't be controlled by anyone instead of the fuels and the batteries that we use today to power our vehicles, them folks would not like this idea very much because it is going to affect their pockets. And remember, these people love and thrive on exploitation, not just exploitation of people, but also the over-exploitation and damaging of Mother Nature. Such an idea would eventually result to us putting less stress and tension on the earth, because we're trying to get all of these minerals and resources. We're constantly drilling and drilling and drilling. And nobody is talking about how this endless drilling is affecting the earth and hell, our safety on this planet. We are literally digging underneath us. Like the ish that has been holding us up since we're taking everything out. The earth, like underneath the earth, is becoming hollower and hollower on a daily basis. Them folks are taking and taking and taking from the earth faster than the earth can heal and replenish itself. When I think about this fact, it's pretty scary because the earth could cave in one day and we would cave in with it if we don't put an end to all of this drilling upon drilling upon drilling and taking upon taking and taking. Because why would they love an idea that is going to make life easier for the everyday global citizen? They love when we are suffering. Hell, they profit off making life difficult for us. So why would they want to do anything or back any idea that is going to change our living situation, that is going to make life easier for us? When the more we suffer, the richer they get. That's why the cost of living is constantly going up. They can't love or support any idea that is going to make them stop exploiting people and the planet, because they thrive on exploitation. Still under the point of greed as to why they unalive African or Black inventors for their invention is because they want to own this idea and be in control of it and all the money that this idea is going to generate. So if it's an idea that is going to affect their pockets positively, they would like the idea and would in turn want the idea for themselves, not only for the notoriety that they would get, of course, but also for the money that this idea would fetch them. And now on to the third key thing that happens to African Black inventors when they invent something is that they do not get notoriety for their inventions. Somehow these things just get invented by African people or our brothers and sisters in the diaspora, and they get used by people of all races on a daily basis, but somehow these people just don't know that these things were invented by Black people. Like mathematics, for example, the oldest proof we have for it is from Africa, the Ishango bone from the Democratic Republic of Congo. The bone is said to be about 2,000 years old. Some sources say it dates back to 20,000 BC and possibly 80,000 BC.
People who've analyzed the bone have concluded that this is not a coincidence. They weren't just playing with notches, they were studying patterns in numbers.
Yeah, I had to throw this in there because unfortunately we live in a world where if it's not a white person saying it, people don't listen or believe. Anyways, the Ishango bone is also known as and called the first calculator. And that includes Black people. A lot of us don't know that a lot of the things that we use on a daily basis were invented by our people. And I think the reason for this is tied to key point number 2, key reason number 2, where I said that them folks do a lot to make sure that their narrative of lies that African people, Black people are not intelligent and or cannot go on to create great things remains the status quo, remains the fact. And it took them 400 plus years to perfect their ability to make whatever it is that they want to be the status quo to be the status quo, regardless of the truth. And when you also factor in white supremacy and how these people have historically documented history and how they wrote about people, not just African people now, but all peoples that they went on to colonize and subjugate, right? They always put non-white people at a level beneath them. They have been, even from colonization era, perpetuating white supremacist ideology. And even now that is quote-unquote post-colonization, they are still perpetuating white supremacist ideology, and they do this using their media and their history books, of course, still. This is something that has been happening for over 400 years now. And one of the downside of it for non-white people is that, dare I say, non-white people, regardless of race, subconsciously bought into white supremacist ideologies. So because of these reasons, I believe globally, a lot of people, regardless of race, when they think about anything, any invention, they just assume that it was a white person that invented it. So nobody is going to check who invented what, because the system already made them believe that it was white people that did it all. You guys can let me know what you think about these theory points of mine, but this is what I believe is the reason why African Black inventors are not known for their inventions. In conclusion, I would say we have got to find a way to start to do better in not only protecting our people, our inventors, and their inventions. Of course, this is where our governments are supposed to be coming in and actually doing their job, protecting the continent and the continent's people and everything that belongs to the continent and was born by and in the continent and or by the continent's people, Mama Africa's children, right? But of course, puppets be puppeting and doing nothing for the people. Hell, at this point, them folks are non-existent to me. So I can't even call on them because it's a huge waste of time and energy. But I guess at this point, this is where I want to throw it to us in the comment section. Please share with me, what do you think us, the everyday people, can do differently? And how can we go on to protect our people? Because the governments obviously are not interested in doing that. And they are obviously not interested in funding, supporting, and backing our people's ideas either. Is there anything we can do? Please share your ideas, your thoughts, your opinions with us in the comment section. Let's continue this conversation there. Thank you very much for watching. And of course, as always, I would see you guys in the next one.